Well, can you talk me through? I mean, I know there's a lot of little things that go through, so maybe broad strokes. But can you talk me through the process of kind of what it looks like going through from initial conversation with you through funding a loan,
Sure.
closing the deal.
Sure. So let's just
What's
talk about a
entailed with
straight up
that? Yeah.
let's just talk a straight up acquisition for a new entrepreneur thinking about getting into the business, right? So we have an initial contribution, and the first thing that we're going to talk to them about is we're going to say we need full financial disclosure. Okay. And what I mean by that is we'd like a credit application, a
Hmm.
personal financial statement, last 2 years of personal tax returns. We also want to understand if they're a previous business owner, maybe in this particular business, maybe not. Okay. We love entrepreneurs that want to get into business that have some level of accounting expertise, right? So they know the numbers a little bit or have some kind of an idea of the numbers, what they're looking for. But we'll just talk to them too about a cash contribution into the business. And it varies, right? So there's SBA lending that exists out there. For startups, it's certainly challenging to try to get an SBA type of a lending scenario. It does require the least amount of money in to the business. Some of these SBA lenders that exist out there are looking at 10 to 15% in. Okay. On a startup scenario, certainly challenging because the SBA lending, they're most concerned with the building. So if you're looking for a laundromat with a standalone building, I would actually suggest that SBA financing through us, through somebody else, would be a way that you could get something done. Like I said, the SBA is most concerned with the building and the build outs of the building or leasehold improvements. But we'll talk to them about their financial scenario. We'll explain to them if they're a new owner. We're looking, especially after COVID, because COVID did change things. Off the bat, new owners that want to get in straight up with traditional financing are looking at some level of a 30% to 40% contribution into the project upfront, right? So if they're willing to put, a level of money into the project upfront, they're a candidate to talk to us, right? Again, we're going to guide them through, help them understand the different locations that they're going to bring to the table, and do our best to make sure that they're success, right? So we have these conversations with them. We also try to educate them as much as possible. So our entrepreneurs that come to us, Jordan, they may come to us with 5, 6, 7, 8 different locations as possibilities before we pull the trigger on one. Or we may never pull the trigger on one, or they think about getting into a different business because they're discouraged because they haven't found a location yet. And yeah, that can be frustrating. But the process really at that point is we're getting all the financial information from the customers. We're getting all the financial information from the sellers. We're compiling the package as a whole. And what we're doing is we're putting a value, in our opinion, based on the competition in the business or in that particular location, the age of the machines, the ability of it to make money, if there's any improvements in terms of additional new equipment that's going to be going in, leaseholds that are going in. We'll put a value of what we think is fair on that store based on what our evaluation is based on the information submitted, right? At that point, we go into our loan committee, we go into underwriting ultimately, and we say, here's what we have, here's why we think this is a winner type of a transaction. We suggest that this thing move forward. And then we get to a yes or no answer. At that point, we can go back to the business broker or the owner that has the location for sale and solidify the purchase agreement and ultimately work toward finalizing, funding, where there's money put into an escrow account and the owner gets paid to get out of that particular location. So it's not a very complex process, I should say. I don't want to make it seem complex. But the most complex portion of it really is the due diligence that's done on the actual locations themselves to try to make sure that we're hitting a home run.
Yeah, thank you for walking through that. I think for a lot of people, it's intimidating because they don't really know the process up front, and you're kind of taking one step at a time. But it can feel very overwhelming because
Of course.
if you don't know the big picture of where you're going, how you're going to get there, and so I think it's super helpful to kind of have a general understanding of what's going to happen when I apply for this